Hey everyone, this is Chad. Thanks for coming to Arctic Horde Wargaming. Today we have matched me Thala and Jeff. Jeff brought his Imperial Guard and Thala brought his Eldar Craftworld. They're going to be playing 1500 points. But before we get into this, if you could take a look at the links down below, also hit that subscribe button, be part of the Horde, and now stay tuned for the show, folks. So we're rolling for the scenario right now.
And we are doing Frontline Assault, which is the pointy one. That is page 217. We are doing that one right there.
4.
We are doing Big Guns Never Tire, which is very appropriate. It's on page 221. We alternated the objectives. We have 4 objective markers on the battlefield, and then victory conditions. At the end of the game, the player who scores the most victory points is the winner. Shocker. Key positions. At the end of the game, each objective marker is worth 3 victory points to the player who controls it. A player controls an objective marker if they have a model within 3 inches, obviously. However, if only one player has a model with a heavy support unit within 3 inches of the center objective marker, they control it regardless of number of enemy models. And then destroy the big guns. At the end of the game, each player receives 1 victory point for each enemy heavy support unit that has been completely destroyed. I'm going to be in trouble. And then we've got Slay the Warlord in First Blood. Rolling off to see who gets to deploy the first objective marker. A 3. A 3. Well, that's exciting.
Tie?
Haha.
6.
Cheater.
Alright. It's not croquet.
It's not croquet? Are we sure? Alright.
So we'll be back after we place the objective markers.
So since I placed the first objective marker, my good friend over here is going to have the option of deploying first or making me deploy first. He's going to deploy first, and then whoever gets done deploying all their models first gets a +1 bonus to going to the roll-off to go first. So we should be all good here in a moment. Alright. Hi, I'm Jeff, and I'm playing 1500 points of Imperial Guard today. I have Talarian and Acadian detachments. Hey guys, we're all deployed here. I've got 3 different detachments today because fun and entertainment. We're just going to work our way right to left here. So we've got 2 Basilisks, as well as a 10-man infantry squad that is doing a little bit of light screening, although they're a little bit close for that. You've got a tank commander right here with a demolisher cannon, 2 plasma cannons, as well as a las cannon. Exactly the same thing right here. Back here you've got a Chimera with a 10-man infantry squad and 2 company commanders inside of it. 3rd tank commander, this one with a battle cannon, 2 heavy bolters, also a las cannon. Hellhound with the Inferno cannon and a heavy bolter. Hydra with a heavy bolter. And then back here hiding you have a Astropath, who's going to be using his psychic power to give this a -1 to hit to any model within 12 inches. Infantry squad, again light protection, and 2 Wyverns with heavy bolters and their standard gun.
Hi, I'm Velha, and I am playing 1500 points of Eldar. I have 3 detachments. To start off, I have a Spearhead detachment with 3 fire prisms. The first one is here. It is baseline with a twin-link shuriken catapults and no additional added options. From there, I also have a battalion with 3 squads of minimal Dire Avengers. I couldn't find my 2nd and 3rd squad, so I'm going to be running Fire Dragons as counts as for the Dire Avengers. There's nothing special outside of 1 model being an Exarch. Here we have the 2nd Fire Prism of my Spearhead detachment. Here's the 2nd squad of Dire Avengers for the battalion. I then have a 3rd detachment, which is an Outrider detachment. For that, I have 3 Vipers, which will be running bare minimum loadouts, so instead of a missile launcher, I'll have a shuriken cannon, as well as the twin-link shuriken catapult. Over here, behind the rocks, I have my 3rd squad of battalion Dire Avengers. And then in the middle, I have a mix of HQs, as well as a unit of Wraith Blades, which are running the Axe and Shield combination. So my Warlord Eldrad here has the Warlord trait Ultway Fate Leader. If your army is Battleforged and your Warlord is on the battlefield, roll a d6 at the start of each turn, yours and your opponent's. On a 6, you gain a command point. Additionally, for psychic abilities, Eldrad is running Doom, Executioner, and Mind War. Then his neighboring Farseer from the same battalion is running Guide and Doom. The Spirit Seer right here is running Conceal and Reveal. And then the the Spearhead Detachment Farseer is also running Guide and Doom. I have my Warlord Eldrad, as well as one Farseer with the Singing Spear right here. And then all three of those are part of the battalion, and so my battalion is going to be Ultway. I then, for my Outrider Detachment, have my Spirit Seer as my headquarter unit. And then for my Spearhead Detachment, I have my Farseer here with a Witchblade. All the way in this corner then, I have my second Viper hiding in the corner right here, my third Fire Prism, and my third Viper for the Outrider Detachment. And then, for the purposes of Craftworld traits, my battalion is going to be running Ultway. Then my Outrider Detachment is running a custom Craftworld, and the two perks I'm going to have for them are Masterful Shots, which means that whenever I resolve a shot made with a model with the trait, I more or less ignore cover for save throws, as well as Students of Vol, which means at the start of each of my turns, each of my vehicles will heal back one lost wound. Then for the Spearhead Detachment, I have the same Students of Vol trait, so my Fire Prisms are also healing at the start of each turn. And then if there's any shot made with a ranged weapon against any of my Fire Prisms, they'll have Masters of Concealment, which means that they count as being undercover if the shot is more than 12 inches away. And then Ultway will give me the 6-up Feel No Pain. And then I additionally have one unit of Wraithguard that are being held back in the webway, and they are running the D cannons instead of the scythes.
Does that have the one command point to do it?
Yeah, so I have to pull off command points as well.
You're down to 9.
Uh-oh.
And how many points total?
And that ends up being 1,497 points. You get the +1.
I get the +1. Here we go. Well, I don't think you can beat a 7.
Fair.
So I assume you'll be going first?
Oh yeah, especially against this mess. Hey guys, I had a pretty productive first round of shooting. So everything unloaded on the Eldar army, and we managed to pop a Fire Prism over there, a Fire Prism over there, so he's down 2 Fire Prisms. I managed to take out one entire squad of Dire Venturers, reduce one down to 1 guy. We still need to do a morale check on that, and reduce the other squad here down to 3. At this point, my big concern is, of course, the 800-odd points right there in the middle. I guess my intention at this moment in time is just to simply ignore it and kill everything else in its army, and then just let it kind of flail against tanks for the rest of the game, and just go from there, and then try to score all the objectives.
So turn 1 of the Eldar was a little mixed. I ended up advancing my entire blob of Wraithblades and Psykers up a bit, and with their combined Smite firepower, they ended up taking out one of the tank commanders that used to be right there. From there, everything else in like this quadrant of the table focused everything into the Hellhound. I'm gonna say that's a Hellhound. I can't remember because Imperial Guard tanks are hard. Regardless, it went down to 1 wound, and I'm hoping to take care of it next turn. And then over here, these Vipers ended up shooting straight into that infantry squad and didn't actually get anything off because of the increased cover that they're under. So overall, not an awful turn. So the overall strategy for me right now is I want to get my Wraith Guards in place to start punching through tanks. I'm going to hopefully move this blob further in so that more of their psychic abilities can start affecting the rest of the tanks on the map. Because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sources of mortal wounds from just the Psychers alone. And then the Wraith Blades will hopefully also start to be able to damage in hopefully 2 turns when they start getting closer into charging range or something.
After the withering amount of psychic bullets that I experienced in the Eldar first round, I decided that I could not ignore their icky bundle of doom over there. So I basically concentrated most of my fire into his little Death Star unit. I managed to pick off all of the Wraith Guard, and then 1 Farseer. In addition, I was able to pick up 2 of the Vipers off the table. So we've got 1 Viper, 1 Falcon, a unit of Wraith Guard up in the sky, and then 3 guys left. And then a couple of Dire Avengers floating around. I went ahead as regards to my tactics, and then I moved everybody forward into the center of the board, forcing him to deep strike at least 9 inches away from the units that are going to be doing the lion's share of the damage. That should prevent him from being able to do anything in regards to charging or shooting this turn to my tanks, since his guns only have a 12-inch range. Hopefully I'll be able to hold out until the end of turn 3, maybe get into some assaults here with some infantry models next turn to wrap things up a little bit and prevent him from moving around. Overall, I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot right now. I've got 2 of the objectives for the end of the game. This turn I managed to not score any points, as it were, since the points are scored at the end of the turn, but set things up for a good position for next game, for the end of the game.
So this was a little bit rougher of a round compared to turn 1. I ended up trying to go take out another tank commander and also take care of the Basilisk over here. I think it's Basilisk. Hellhound? Sure. The tank. Didn't manage to take out the last wound on the tank, but did manage to get the tank commander down to 4 wounds. Otherwise, because I lost the Wraith Blades, I had to play a little bit more defensively, and I ended up casting Conceal on Eldrad to try to get him to survive another turn of shooting. Otherwise, the Wraith Guard ended up dropping down in that corner and took out a few Guardsmen, but I won't be able to actually do damage with them until the next turn. And assuming that everyone survives until next turn, I'm more or less just hoping to get these Wraith Guard to do more damage and have my Fire Prism start to actually focus on the second remaining tank commander, with hopes that the Smites coming out of the Psychers, if they survive, takes out another tank. Although, at this point, with the amount of firepower that's left on the table, I think my primary goal is just rolling enough saves that I don't die immediately and get tabled, because it's looking kind of grim.
IG end of turn 3. Well, IG does what IG does, and we just kind of decided to shoot lots and shoot some more, and it has left Eldar with 5 models on the table at the end of turn 3. We went ahead and took the Chimera and charged them into the Wraith Guard over here, so they are now locked in combat, so they can either fall back and not shoot, or stay in close combat and kill a Chimera, which I don't really care about all that much. We managed to take out 2 HQs this turn, as well as the last Fire Prism, and this guy is down to 1 wound. There's very little that I see he's going to be able to do in his next turn, and we'll just go from there. Because of the fact that we don't gain points until the end of the battle turn, I am currently holding one objective. But since we go to round 5 before we start rolling, I think we're going to end up tabling him before we even get to worry about scoring objective markers.
It's the end of the turn. Realistically, we're getting tabled in the next turn. So I'm conceding right now.
Good game, sir. Thank you very much. Well, I mean, IG did what IG does, which is basically just shoot. We had all the tank gun lines, which may not be the most effective thing in competitive 40k nowadays, considering how many people are going after tanks. Against Eldar today, they did exactly what they wanted to do. Tank commanders were as amazing as I expected them to be. For a little under 200 points apiece, they put out a withering amount of firepower. The Demolisher cannons with the Tellurian were awesome. I mean, so much fun in regards to being able to just put out a lot of really high strength 10, AP -3 with D6 damage shots that just absolutely decimated his tanks. And you know, when it goes into a 5-man squad or more, being able to do a D6 shots versus D3, I mean, I wouldn't change anything. It was a really great game. I truly enjoyed myself. Eldar has so much psychic powers. So many psychic powers.
I definitely was, for the most part, pretty happy with how my Psychers were performing. I think that I might have over-invested a bit with 2 Farseers plus Eldrad, simply because there just weren't enough psychic powers for me to really diversify. So I felt like I was just kind of funneling to Eldrad, and 2 Farseers just kind of came along for the ride. I was pretty happy with my Fire Prism as well, even though the other 2 got shot off the map before they could do anything. The Soul Fire Prism ended up doing a pretty decent amount of damage against tanks, and I think that if I had another Fire Prism available, I would have definitely caused a lot more damage, and relieved a lot of pressure that my Wraith Blades were having. I do think that the new chapter proof points for Wraith Blades with the Ghost Axe, the Ghost Shield and Force Axe, is actually really nice for them, because it means that they have essentially a free invulnerable, and they really tanked a lot for Eldrad and the Psychers. But the points investment I ended up putting on that small group just wasn't going to pay itself off. That ended up being, I think, about 600 points, and really all they did was take out 1 tank commander and then do a decent amount of collateral damage to 2 other tanks. I think also I'm just never really lucky with Webway Portal, the Webway Portal stratagem. The fact that I had to hold back about 150 to 200 points until the second turn meant that by the time they arrived, they were again too late for the battle, similar to the last time I tried it. So I think I'm going to try to start making lists that are a little bit more varied and don't rely on Deep Strike. And so maybe I try to put in a Night Spinner or some Dark Reapers instead of the Wraith Guard in this instance, and that way I'd have something that can both pull fire onto it, but also throw out some shots in the first and second turn. Yeah.
Well, in addition to that, I would think that since we're playing a lower point game, the 1500, when you're losing 200 to 300 points, and I'm having everything on the board, that really causes you to feel that difference in the weight. If we were playing a 2,000 point game, then putting 200 in reserve would probably be more comfortable.
In terms of deep striking, I think also I might have preferred to throw in Fire Dragons instead.
That would have been scary as hell.
That would have also saved me. That would have been half the cost of the Wraith Guard, if I remember my points correctly. And that would have given me enough points to maybe look at shuffling some things around and adding another whole squad of troops, or another fast attack, or even maybe a Night Spinner or another heavy support option.
Aren't Fire Lances 18-inch range too?
Yep.
gross.
But the fusion guns, I think, are... I don't know how the fusion... I think the fusion guns don't get the melt bonus.
Okay. Well, I mean, still, strength 8, AP -4, D6 damage.
Yeah.
Still, that would have done all sorts of bad to me.
Mm-hmm. And even if they get wiped out the next turn, the fact that they almost guarantee me taking something with them would have been way more useful than having the Raid Guard come in and just essentially have to tie themselves up in combat to move forward.
Have you thought about adding a flyer or two to your list?
I would, I just don't own one. So the initial plan I had was actually to not even have the Outrider in the case that like the Hemlock that currently is being shipped over to my apartment came in. And if the Hemlock came in, then I'd definitely be using the Hemlock to try to like fly around and use the D-sights that it has as well as the bonus smite to just sort of like start taking things out and like being another sort of like point to focus on.
Yeah, I can tell you that IG don't do well against army shooting against things that have a negative hit. If you had been playing Altiok, which is I think it's -1 across the entire thing.
Yeah.
Even I think that even affects your tanks. It would have been a much better game for you.
Yeah, and I think trying out the custom craft world, I thought that the cover bonus would more or less make itself valuable, but just the fact that like the only other bonus I got was the heal back 1 wound every turn, I don't think that the custom craft world selection I chose was particularly good.
You could have gone with the one that allowed you to re-roll to hit and to wound, like the Salamander trait, and that would have been, especially with your smaller man squads and your tanks, that would have been a decent choice.
Yeah, and I was considering it, but I thought that so long as I managed to keep 2 fire prisms on the map, I'd just keep on using the linked fire stratagem every turn because I had way too many command points at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But because I never got to actually use the stratagem, I then didn't actually get like the rerolls I was anticipating.
Well, I look forward to our next game.
Yeah, me too.
Good chat and good game, fellas. So now, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, be part of the Horde, and also on the screen here there is a link for another video, so check that out. Stay tuned for the next show, folks.